So you asked me how I come to the result that we see in the background.
Yeah.
I've been studying reflectography, carving, long time before, and I was fascinated from the first time I touched this, because I carved something on one side and the perfect angle in the cut crystal reflects it perfect on the other side. And to bring these both together to an image that makes sense, that gives a symbol to the one who has it then on a neck or set as a piece of jewelry, is quite fascinating. And it's always a new challenge to find the right proportion, size, and depth of carving. The biggest challenge is that I really focus where I start the first cut and don't scratch over to the rim, or so I have to be really careful what tool I use. I can use a too big tool, which gives a quick result, but then it's too rough and I cannot correct that. So I have to plan it carefully and get the surface of the crystal scratched by the diamond powder in different grades makes a difference. And I really like a fine satin finish, so I don't go with the roughest diamond tools. I normally do a sculpture. And in intaglio, it's a special kind of discipline to find the right fine tools and get your breathing while I cut it, so I get the right expression. It can take from 10 minutes to half an hour till I'm really get into the tips and ends. And it's not that carving is always carve, cut, and then improve. It's always a mixture between control and sensitive handwork. And mostly of these I have a fixed arbor spindle, but I also work with my right hand like a fine dentist tool, with a high revolution of the tool. And within that, I have to dry, I have to look and see how the reflection comes from each side. And that is the main goal. So it can take from 1 hour to a little bit more to get the prototype done. Not really,
No secret
not
steps.
really.
Okay.
Because I think everybody who carves stones has its own handwriting. It's like a calligraphy that each carver has, but not many carvers try to be so creative, innovative. They do like to have an image that's done by the client and a coat of arm, a monogram, or so whatsoever. And I always try to step out of that and try myself, try new ways, new expressions, and get new results. My family has been a background of cameo carving, which goes back to the 18th century, coming over Paris to Ida Oberstein. And now Paris is not more the center, Ida Oberstein is the center. We have about 20 families of carvers, master carvers, who carry this heritage into a new form of expression. And my father was very innovative in doing modern kind of cameos, also including intaglios in citrine and smoky quartz and rock crystal. And from there I learned a lot by his guidance, but yet I had to step out of the traditional Greek mythology stuff to more modern contemporary expression. My ideas, I can play with all kinds of structures and reduce an image to a more abstract form. Let's say a bird, you can make lots of feathers, but you can make a bird also in the gentle form of a flowing element that goes through the air. And with that, I try to make a lot of sketches for myself and then get it into the stone for the first approval. Sometimes I have to correct it. I cut again the faces and start new again, but that is not so often happening. One of the first visionary gem arts that I did with Glenn Lehrer, my beloved friend, was Genesis, The Wanderer, which is a portrait of my son stepping up into a virtual crystal room that is reflected from all sides when they turn the object, and to cut somebody with the Levi's pants is was very innovative. Nobody has ever done that.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that one of his favourite pieces as
This is
well?
one of my favorite pieces, and they just sold this year in Tucson to a museum in Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
Genesis is universal with bubbles of cellular structures in the down ground. We don't have the piece here, so unfortunately the transport did not guarantee, the transport company didn't guarantee it would arrive in time. So it's still there, and it has a feminine and a masculine side. They both come together into that DNA structure, which is in all of us. So this is also from the theme a very progressive break through the normal way of carving a scene.
Yeah.
My colleagues, I must say, who are very, very talented, can go with very good images of Renaissance and Bible themes, but for me that's not enough. I have to always stay a little bit into the mainstream and in the nowadays world. It's a lot of a dream world, of course, creating a world of my own, which gives some good images, good feelings to others. So we have a lot of pressures in nowadays life, and I want to get back to the roots and get back to the ideal form of what mankind can be seen as. As I have some impression that my colleagues, when I started to work on my own, were stuck in the old antique world. Always these long Roman dresses, and that's nice for people like that, but not for me.
Absolutely.
So it can be a naked body, which also represents something of our days, without being pornographic or anything. Challenges the sexes don't have to be overestimated in some sorts, but more natural. And if it's a pure movement of the body, this can express like a modern ballet dancer. This is a lot of my inspiration. Expression dance, and the body itself is like a code that speaks to us, how we move, how we feel. Are we in pain? Are we in joy? And that is also part of my creations. It's kind of a safety that they feel themselves. They don't risk too many with that. They have their clientele. It's just a little bit old-fashioned. They live in castles and maybe in nice bourgeois houses. So it fits to that background. But when you see what's going on into street art and modern contemporary graffiti, that's not seen in our carving world so much, you know. So we are a little bit in the ivory tower of being a bit too elite, too safe, and risking the unrisked things and the unforeseen things that we have not expressed is more challenging for me.
Yeah.
Gabby, I did a lot of innovative sketches when she was younger, when we were in love, in the early love, you know. So she was my goddess, she was my my icon if it was a feminine body or so, and I've done a lot of that, and haven't tried too much in maybe subconscious. It's always Gabby. Yeah, he was a sudden discovery of Tucson. The first year we were there, we were not meeting him. The second year, his wife came by and introduced me, and another friend brought us really together. So we had a enormous need for new things to express. 3 months after Tucson, we sat in the airplane to San Francisco, and he showed me his rock crystals that he had collected. We were shapeless, they were just hexagon crystals, and then they said, "What do you think? Can we do something together?" And then we both sat together with our wives and had let's say, a mind meeting of how we would start this. And we agreed that we only start when we all four agreed on a theme and how we would express this theme and how we all four see it happen. And that was the strong creative impact. And Glenn liked this idea very much because it was for him a new way of stepping out of his faceting, combining it with carving and forming it. So that was a highlight.